Hello, everybody, and welcome to our presentation on the Internet censorship and its countermeasures. We are Group 15. We're composed of Alejandro Suarez, Angelo Di Marta, Mark Nison Lordfields, and Ruth Betancourt. Our presentation will be divided into five key points. Firstly, we will describe the problem with the Internet censorship and the significance of the problem. After that, we will describe each member contribution to the project. Thirdly, we will introduce our presentation and its contents, trying to give a good idea of what the presentation will be about. Fourthly, we will discuss the history of the problem and we will analyze and tell the main arguments for and against internet censorship and how people fight it. And lastly, we will provide a short summary on the presentation with important takeaways for everybody. So first, before we go into detail what internet censorship is and what its countermeasures look like, we need to understand why this is a problem, why we're making this presentation. And the main problem is that many states and people with power want to censor what people can post on the internet. Normally, when something or someone has an idea against you, you don't censor them, but that's what's happening in the internet. And although accountability is a righteous principle, censorship as a whole is not. We have people in states all over the world with political power. They are able to censor what people say on the internet with different many tools to avoid bad comments or publicity going against them. So we have a violation of one of the human rights, which is a right to protest and freedom of speech globally. That's one of the biggest advantages of the internet, and many countries and big companies are able to work their way around it and censor what people want to say on the internet. And to fully understand why this problem is important, we need to understand that internet censorship, like any censorship in the news, in the papers, it leads to a lack of information and subsequently a development of apathy, ignorance, and conformism, and general stagnation. As we have seen all over the course of history, when news are blocked or the truth is hidden, people do not know what's going on. We have big examples of this problem with countries like North Korea, Venezuela, and China, where their governments are able to block a lot of websites, which allows people to not know the entire truth. This also contributes to democracy and encourages subversive activities. It may also equally foster idealism through indoctrination and strengthen government control. So when a totalitarian government does not have an opposition against them because they're being censored, it becomes the main sort of thought for everybody to think that the only choice they have is whatever totalitarian government or ideas they're given to them. Same in a big company where harassment issues or even racism can be hidden in social media where people are being censored of what they need to say or to express their problems. And although it is important to have censorship for many other reasons, which we will explain later, we need to find a filter in which we can divide what's truth and what's not and protect people's right.
What is Internet censorship? Internet censorship is the control or suppression of what can be accessed, published, or viewed on the Internet, enacted by regulators or on their own initiative. Individuals and organizations may engage in self-censorship for morale, religious, or business reasons, to conform to societal norms, to intimidation, or out of fear of legal or other consequences. The extent of Internet censorship varies on a country-to-country basis. While most democratic countries have moderate Internet censorship, other countries go as far as to limit the access to information, such as news and discussion among citizens. Internet censorship also occurs in response to or in anticipation of events such as elections, protests, and riots. A great example of this form of censorship could be viewed due to the recent events of the presidential elections. Now, where did censorship come from? Well, it is believed that internet censorship began in 1996 when the U.S. enacted the Communications Decency Act, which prohibited posting indecent or potentially offensive material on the internet. Following this was a growth of 1,104% growth of internet usage between the years 2000 and 2019, which sums up to about 56% of the population, equivalent to about 3.8 billion people, which now have access to the internet. Why does internet censorship exist? Well, one, it prevents individuals from accessing copyrighted materials, including written materials, pictures, videos, and or audio recordings. Two, stop people from viewing harmful or sensitive content, such as illegal acts like sex trafficking, child pornography, eliciting drugs, and more, and content on the internet that no one should ever see, for example, the Momo Challenge and other harmful things. Three, promote particular religions and political ideas, which can influence the opinions of voters in the state or national political races. Four, control internet communicated crimes, which can lessen the likelihood of fraud and identity theft in most cases. And five, monitor the billions of people on the internet with varying opinions and preferences.
Hello, my name is Ruth Betancourt. I'm gonna continue with a timeline of the internet censorship and its countermeasures. In 1958, the internet was born. It began as a defense mechanism from the United States Department of Defense, pioneered to safeguard against the interception of government communications in the event of a nuclear attack. In 1989, an information system accessible via the internet, known as the World Wide Web, was invented, mostly used by the government entities. In 1991, the internet was released to the general public, and only 1.2% of Americans accessed in the internet at that time, but now it's about 4.6 billion people around the world using the internet. From 2008, From 2008, Bitcoin blockchain technology enables the creation of censorship fighting tools such as the Substratum. In 2011, Arab shuts down the whole internet to limit information flow regarding Arab Spring protesters. And similarly, Libya and other countries follow the same example and is used in the present. In 2015, the Federal Commission of Communications reclassified the broadband internet as a Title II publicly, and in 2017, this order is retracted. The Great Firewall from China hardens cracking down on VPN services, and the VPN becomes significantly more difficult to use. The internet and technology policies changes continually. Different governments become more or less restrictive with time. Users interpret and respond to changes in censorship in diverse ways too. Where there is a problem, there is a solution. There are many circumvention technologies, any tool, software, or method used to bypass or the internet filtering. We have the onion router, Tor, or the virtual private network VPN, CGI proxy, web tunneling software, Substratum. Tor is an excellent choice for the technical users who require strong anonymity. It is concentrated in three relay encrypted systems of the Tor network. The routers can be run by different individuals or organizations all over the world. The ISP can see that the user has Tor at the moment but cannot easily see what site has been visited or where the user is coming from. The signal shows that is passing the three Tor station relays until you find the one that is available for the website or the yeah. In summary, remember that your provider can potentially see everything you are doing through a circumvention system. Make efforts to know how internet censorship affects you in a local, state, and in a global context. Become an activist. Know who is for and against it. Use recommended tools to avoid internet censorship. The issue does not exist in a vacuum, and neither should you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Angelo De Marta, and I'm going to talk about how is the internet censored. Many countries restrict access to the content on the internet on some level. Even the United States has laws that impact the kind of information you can access on the internet in a school or public library. Some countries go much further than that. A few don't allow any access to the internet at all. The OpenNet Initiative, ONI, and is an organization dedicated to informing the public about web filtering and surveillance policies all around the world. It classifies web filtering into four categories: internet tools, conflict security, social, and political. Some countries go far beyond limiting access. According to reports, the Myanmar government monitors internet cafes with machines that snap screenshots every few minutes. China has a sophisticated filtration system known as the Great Firewall of China. Hello, my name is Angelo De Marta, and I'm going to talk about how the censorship is fought. In addition to the thousands of people who combat censorship through blogs every day, there are several organizations that raise awareness about internet censorship. Some are formal organizations with prestigious memberships, while others are looser groups that aren't above advocating a guerrilla approach to getting around strict policies. The American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, is an adamant opponent to internet censorship. The ACLU has filed numerous lawsuits to overturn censorship laws. In 2007, the ACLU convinced federal courts that the Children's Online Protection Act, COPA, was unconstitutional. COPA was a law that made it illegal to present material online that was deemed harmful to minors, even if including information valuable to adults. Hello, my name is Angelo and I'm going to talk about OpenNet Initiative. The OpenNet Initiative ONI was a collaborative effort whose purpose was to monitor and report the national internet blocking and surveillance activities, to identify the scope of the government-run internet filtering system. The project was used as a variety of technological tools as well as a worldwide network of investigators. The OpenNet Initiative partners declared in 2014 that they will no longer conduct research under the ONI brand. The ONI website, including all reports and data, will be kept up forever to provide the public continuing access to ONI's full collection of published work and data. Hello, my name is Andrew de Marta and I'm going to talk about groups against internet censorship. Reporters Without Borders is a group against internet censorship. Although the organization's reach goes beyond internet activities, the organization keeps a list of internet adversaries. Nations with the most stringent internet bans and laws. Since 1997, the Censorware project has existed. Its goal is to educate individuals about web filtering and techniques. Its website contains investigative studies on all of the major web filter applications on the market, as well as essays and news pieces on censorship. Peacefire.org is a compatible site that began as a site committed to safeguarding free expression on the internet for young people. Hello, my name is Angelo de Marta and I'm going to talk about how the censorship will look like in the future. In some ways, the internet has become a victim of its own success. It facilitates organizing and protest by facilitating voice and communication. The bigger the response, the better it works at its task. The compelling desire of totalitarian nations is to tend to put a genie back in the bottle. Censorship technology is improving and becoming more sophisticated. What Iran and China can do today is great, but it's inadequate. They are unconcerned about conning foreigners utilizing commercial VPN service to circumvent the Great Firewall. They only worry about preventing most regular internet users, for which the present mechanism function admirably. While technology censorship is certain to rise, we must not overlook the human component. Using sheer personnel to bolster up its censorship tactics, such as monitoring for popular subjects, altering circumvention tools, and new web proxies might rise. Another non-technological solution is to impose strong legal consequences for accessing illegal content.
And in conclusion, as we've seen from this whole presentation, we have learned that internet censorship is a double-edged sword, which is important because it is necessary for law enforcement and accountability for internet users to try to violate people's principles by bullying or by spreading child pornography. However, it also violates the freedom of speech and it can be misused and overused by totalitarian governments and big companies to promote only what lies within their ideals. So we have learned how governments and companies have tried to put only what they want out there and hide the truth sometimes from people, which ultimately affects a lack of freedom and does not help people succeed and go forward. On the other hand, we've also learned that this is a problem that seems nowhere to be near an ending point, and that whenever the problem keeps growing, so will the countermeasures because people want to know the truth, and there will always be people seeking for those. So we can see how this problem is nowhere near an end line, and everybody just needs to know how to avoid internet censorship and understand why it is happening. Here's the team's contributions to the project. We have Alejandro Suarez with the presentation, introductions, problems, breakdowns, and conclusion. We have Angelo De Marta with the finest against censorship and tools on internet censorship. We have Ruth on the timeline on internet censorship, the current problems and possible solutions. And we have Mark with the introduction and evaluation of our presentation.